Use code WALLAH for 10% off all advanced GG products. Thank you. It's no surprise to a lot of you that say WALLAH is kind of a pulse rifle connoisseur. I think that's how I say it. But pulse rifles are pretty damn good right now, and if anything, they're kind of ruining the Crucible. Maybe not for everybody. Maybe there's some new players out there that never really got to use pulse rifles and are really enjoying it because of how strong they are. But for a majority of us that have been playing for a really long time, we know that they're really frustrating to play against. Especially something like the No Time to Explain, that's clearly the best pulse rifle in the game. You can't really do anything about it unless you're a really good player or you slap one on yourself. But don't worry, I'm not here to talk about the No Time to Explain. Instead, we're here to talk about the other pulse rifles that are actually almost just as strong. The rapid fire pulse rifles. Right now, there are 3 rapid fire pulse rifles that you can still technically obtain. Hold on, pause the video. I lied. There's actually 4 rapid fire pulse rifles. One of them coming back next week. But I'm not going to talk about it too much until it comes back because right now it's technically unobtainable. This is the Jurassic Green, and it will be obtainable when the Festival of the Lost comes back because it is a Festival of the Lost weapon. With that being said, I don't think it'll be better than the top pulse rifles we're going to be talking about anyways, so you don't have to worry about that. Before we get into the main 3, I want to talk about one honorable mention, the Time-Worn Spire. This isn't actually sunset, and if you have a god roll on this thing, you can still use it, but you can't get it anymore, and the one upside to it is it had scope options on it, meaning you can get a solid 19 zoom on this gun completely for free. While technically the Peace of Mind does have 19 zoom on it guaranteed, and you can fix the recoil direction, the upside to this gun is it had Rampage, and also you can go even further beyond 19 zoom. You could get a whopping 23 zoom on it. Obviously you don't want to do that because the handling gets absolutely dumpstered, but you could, and this gun was honestly pretty damn cool. I'm not going to talk about it too much, you can't get it anymore, I just wanted to mention it. And I won't be talking about the Grid Skipper either because you can only get it from Xur, so it's not really worth mentioning. So that leaves us with the big 3, the Darkest Before, the Horror's Least, Adept, and the Peace of Mind. We're going to start off with the Darkest Before, only because it's been in the game longer than the other 2. Horror's Least and Darkest Before are technically both old weapons that came back, and the Darkest Before came in Trials of the 9, so this has been in the game for quite some time. Even back in the day, it was a pretty damn solid gun. I used to use it, and it wasn't as good back then because primaries just sucked entirely. Right now, it's very solid. You have quite a bit of perk options here, and you have the main 2 that change stats dramatically, Surplus and Elemental Capacitor. And for rapid fire pulse rifles, perks like these that actually enhance the stats are very nice because you have very low handling and typically some pretty low range. So if you decide to run one of these perks and you want to go for Surplus, for example, you don't have to stack all your stats into handling now because Surplus is taking care of that. So you can actually increase your range without worrying about the stability or the handling, which is an awesome plus. If you don't want to use Surplus, you also have the great option of Elemental Capacitor. As long as you're not playing Solar for the reload, which I obviously do, so I wouldn't use it, you could use Arc or Void to increase the stats even further. Having 87 handling on a rapid fire pulse rifle feels amazing. And this is constant too. Unlike Surplus, where if you use abilities, it kind of goes away, this stays as long as you're playing Arc, or Void if you want to go for 78 stability. While the recoil direction's not that great on this gun, just slap on arrowhead break and you're already sitting at 94. You could go for a counterbalance stock, but it'd be kind of a waste since you're so close to 100. And assuming you're running one of the perks that gives you even more stability, you don't even need to get to 100. Now, there are a couple downsides to this pulse rifle. One obvious one being it doesn't have kill clip or honestly any great damage perk. Rampage is cool, but it doesn't last long enough to really take advantage of it, especially on a pulse rifle. For 3.5 seconds, you could increase it to 4 seconds with the Rampage spec perk, and it only increases it by 10% for 1 kill, and obviously if you can stack multiple kills, it'll go all the way up to 33%, which is highly unlikely to happen anyways. This gun does sit at 17 zoom, which is good, but it's not the best. That means the range is going to be capped out, and you're going to be sitting around 35 to 36 meters, depending on which type of roll you go for. If I were to go for a god roll, I would go for Surplus and Rampage, while Elemental Capacitor is a very, very good perk. I play a lot of Solar. It'd be a complete waste. So I'd go for Rampage and Surplus with Ricochet rounds to get the 10 stability and 5 range, Arrowhead break to crank it up to 94 recoil direction, which is very, very important, and slap on a ranged masterwork, and you got yourself a really damn good pulse rifle. Maybe not the best, but this is a very solid roll, and the best part about it is it's kind of easy to get. The way you get this pulse rifle, honestly, is pretty simple. You do the prophecy dungeon and you farm the final boss as many times as you can. The only downside now is you can't farm the prophecy dungeon unless it's that specific week for that dungeon. If I had to rate this pulse rifle, I'd give this a solid 7 out of 10. Feels amazing, looks amazing. It's just missing a few things to take it to the next level. Next, we have the peace of mind. We all know how damn good this gun is. It has 19 zoom stock, so you don't have to change the scope or anything, and you still have barrel options with 19 zoom, so you can fix any recoil direction. And trust me, you're gonna need to fix the recoil direction. This gun is extremely popular, not only for the scope, but also because you can craft this thing. The only rapid fire pulse rifle that you can craft, meaning it's definitely gonna be a big deal. Now, how do the perks look? The perks are not terrible, but in terms of damage perks, you don't have too many options. You have Focused Fury, Adrenaline Junkie, and Harmony. All three kind of hard to take advantage of compared to something like normal kill clip or multi-kill clip, but they're still there if you really want to take advantage of a damage perk. But the best part about these guns is they don't really need the damage perks. It does go the extra mile if you have one, but you still have some solid options like Moving Target or Elemental Capacitor instead of the damage perks. We literally just talked about Elemental Capacitor being really strong, and Moving Target is no exception. It's very, very good as well. Increasing your aim assistance of already 82, it's going to be really hard to miss a shot on this thing. And on the other column, we have some pretty okay perks. Perpetual Motion being a no-brainer if you just want a very easy perk to use, or Heating Up if you want those insane stats after getting a bunch of kills over and over again. If you don't like reloading, Overflow is pretty solid too, but I would probably stick to Perpetual since it is the most simple and the most useful. It also drops with ricochet rounds for increased stability, and you can get to 100 recoil direction, no problem. Just slap on Arrowhead Break and a counterbalance stock mod. The way you get this gun is also pretty simple. The only frustrating part is you have to get 5 red borders to craft this thing, and while you don't have to craft it, you 100% should. It gives you the option to not have to rely on luck after you get the red borders, and it just gives you the absolute perfect roll. Why would you not want to do that? The way you get this today is pretty simple, but it is going to be quite lengthy. If you have 0 out of 5 red borders, you're in for quite a ride. You have to go to the war table and rank up these specific options, and you want to go ahead and upgrade weapon decoding clearance and deep sight requisition. These are the main 2 you need because this will let you purchase red border weapons. Now remember, you can only purchase 1 red border weapon guaranteed every single week. You still have a chance to get a red border if you keep purchasing them, but make sure you do not run out of Risen Umbral energy, because if you do, you will no longer be able to purchase them and you have to regrind some. I'm going to give this gun a rating of 9 out of 10. It's practically perfect. The only problem I have with it is no insane damage perk on it. Focus Fury is okay if you really want to take advantage of it with Overflow, but realistically speaking, in trials and other stuff like that, it's not going to be super useful, and you're better off with other perks like Elemental or Moving Target. Last, but certainly not least, is the Horror's Least. I said least twice. This is also Adept, which is a huge plus because that means you can put some Adept perks on it. But of course, since it is Adept, you kind of get the idea of how you unlock this thing. That's right. Nightfalls. You have to wait every month or so until this weapon is dropping from the Nightfall, and you can do Grandmaster Nightfalls to guarantee a drop every single finish, which is a huge plus for farming. This was also an old weapon, like I said before, and it came back with very, very good perks. Honestly, I was really surprised they even managed to put kill clip on this thing. I don't know who they convinced or who did it, but thank you very much. This was well needed. Now, this gun is sitting at 17 zoom, just like the Darkest before, so it is lacking in the range, but not by a lot, and you can crank the range up with accurized rounds and an Adept range mod. Again, this is an Adept weapon. The recoil kind of sucks, sitting at 55 stock recoil. You're definitely want to go for Arrowhead Break here to help it out a lot. Sitting at 85, I think that's very, very comfortable. And since 85 is really good already, I feel like an Adept mod would be a little better than Counterbalance stock. And with this gun, there's not too many perk options, but there is a perk combination that's awesome, and you guys already know, Kill Clip and Perpetual Motion. I honestly wouldn't really go for any other role. You could go for Heating Up instead of Perpetual Motion, but you don't really need it. Sitting at 82 aim assistance, and the recoil direction's already very solid, it's kind of useless at that point, especially when you could use the extra handling and extra stability from Perpetual Motion. Now, the reason why Kill Clip is so favored on rapid fire pulse rifles, let me just show you.
Oh, wow.
You do a whopping 32 damage to the head. That actually lets you 2 burst, depending on their resilience. They do have to have 4 or less, which a lot of people are running more than 4, I will admit. But it does give you the option to absolutely mow them down. You don't have to be accurate whatsoever. You just need to hit like 1 burst into the head, and the rest could be straight body shots, and you'll still kill them very quickly in 3 bursts. Overall, it's just an S tier perk, man. It takes this gun to the next level, and while still having about 35, and you could even go to 36 meters of range, this thing's no joke whatsoever. And I do mean 36 meters. Like I said, this is adept. If you rock 85 recoil direction, which is very solid, I do have a roll myself that has 85 recoil direction, and I have no problem controlling it. You can put adept range on this thing and reach 36.7 meters. And it has 17 zoom, keep in mind. That's very good. Now, is this better than the peace of mind? I don't know. I think these guns are both tied, if anything. While this gun does have kill clip on it, it is missing out on the other stats like the slightly better handling and the slightly better stability on the peace of mind, while still having more range than it. But on the other side, Horror's Lease still has really good range on top of the stats not being terrible at all while having kill clip. If I had to choose in today's meta, personally, I'd go with the Horror's Lease Adept. Kill clip is no joke on a pulse rifle, especially on a rapid fire frame. It's pretty rare to see, and it is more annoying to farm because you do have to get a perfect roll. I still think it's better. At the end of the day, both are S tier pulse rifles. Whichever you choose, you're not wrong. It's just my opinion, and through my experience, I found the Horror's Lease to be a lot more fun to use. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below if I'm completely wrong on this, and I appreciate you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.